Hi, welcome back to PÖFF TV. My name is Johanna Kristina and we're here right in the heart of the Black Nights Film Festival. Today we have an amazing guest joining us, the talented director behind the Reading Lolita in Tehran. So, let's give a big welcome to our talented director, Eran Riklis.
Thank you.
Welcome, and how are you?
I'm good. Really good.
You're good?
Yeah.
So, you had an impressive career spinning for 25 years already.
More.
More? Even more?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a long time. How
Yeah.
do you think your approach to storytelling has changed since first started?
Well, I think I only got more experience, but basically my essential approach is to look at people and try to get their emotions and try to get their heart and feelings and psychological issues and social issues and political issues. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what always interested me, you know, the people behind the stories of this world.
Okay, great answer. But the woman in the story finds strength and hope in literature.
Yes.
So, what impact do you think storytelling and books can have on societies under repression?
Well, I'll tell you something. When I was 14 years old, I lived in Brazil because my father was a diplomat there, and I went to an American high school. And my literature teacher, Mrs. Walter, came into the class and she said, okay, you know, like all kids in the world, we're going to study Dostoevsky, you know, Crime and Punishment. Yeah. But before that, we will study a new book that came out only a few years ago. It's called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And this book, that later became a film with Jack Nicholson, changed my life. You know, I was 14 and I understood that what I really want to tell is stories about people under oppression and you know, fighting back, basically. Mm-hmm. So my film career started from a book, so it was easy for me to connect with literature as something that can save you, like in Lolita.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But the story revolves around the act of reading and discussing literature in secret.
Yes.
Do you think cinema can have a similar power in bringing people together to reflect on their society?
I think cinema is a great tool to bring people together, to fight back maybe, at least to exchange ideas. You know, sometimes movies are censored, sometimes movies cannot be shown. We live in a world where cinema is sometimes struggling to be seen. But I think at the end of the day, especially in today's world, people get to see films, if not in the cinema, then, you know, on their phone. And I think cinema is really a major power in trying to keep a sane world, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Totally. But what inspired you to make this movie? Like, was it some personal experience or?
No, you know, when I read the book in 2009. It was a few years after it came out. Mm-hmm. And it was after I did Lemon Tree and The Syrian Bride, two films that were about also political situations, women, etc. And I felt, wow, this story, even though it's an Iranian story and I'm from Israel, so it's like a different world, but I felt the story I want to tell. And that was my immediate inspiration. It took me a long time to get it together because it was not easy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was like, good story, can be a good movie.
Yeah, okay. But what was the biggest challenges while making this film?
The really big challenge was to tell a story that is set in Tehran in the 80s and 90s, and we cannot shoot in Tehran. So I had to shoot in Rome. And because I had Italian co-production, and that was a big challenge. You know, how do you put together something that's happening in a very specific city like Tehran? How do you do it in Rome? But we did it. I think it looks totally authentic, looks totally like we shot in the real place. And also because of my cast, so I insisted that all my actors be Iranian. So really all the faces you see are Iranian. So it gives the film a kind of real feeling.
Mm-hmm. But how did you choose the actors?
Oof, took me 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, you know, these are Iranian exiles. So they live in L.A., New York, London, Paris, Berlin, maybe even in Tallinn. I don't know. It's all over the world, really. So my casting took time to discover all these people, and I really traveled to see all of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm very proud of this process because I think it pays off in the end.
Okay. But what do you hope young filmmakers can learn from your body of work, especially when it comes to tackling tough subjects?
I think you can learn not to be afraid, you know, because we are all afraid always, you know, because you do things, especially if you do creative things, you're worried that maybe you're doing the wrong thing, maybe people won't understand. There's always this fear, which I think it's a good fear because it means you have to be critical of yourself always and to really not be too happy that you think you know everything. We don't know everything. We have to learn. We have to study. We have to respect other people. We have to understand other people in other societies and other ways of thinking. But in the end, I think what you really should learn as a storyteller is not to be afraid. We are here to tell the truth, and what is the truth? We never know. But
that's right.
But the truth is subjective sometimes. But I think there's also an objective truth. That there's something absolute about the human spirit that we have to tell.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah.
But as a director, what do you find most rewarding about telling stories that highlight marginalized voices?
I think the answer is your question in a way, because I have a big satisfaction in putting a spotlight on people that normally don't get the spotlight. And I think it's a great pleasure because it means, it's easy to tell stories about people who get a lot of attention anyway. Mm-hmm. I think those who are in the shadows, those who are kind of, under the horizon, those who are not obviously in the minds of people normally, it's a great pleasure to discover them, and if their story is interesting, that it's even double the experience of telling a good, interesting story about things that we don't know. So I think that's my main satisfaction.
Really cool. Wow, it's so inspirational also. But looking ahead, are there any themes or subjects you're particularly interested in exploring in your future projects? Or
I want to do a Marvel movie, like Batman.
Oh, okay.
Ideally, but it won't happen.
Why not, though?
Maybe somebody's calling me right now.
You have to dream big,
I know.
Yeah.
No, I think I want to stay with the kind of movies that I make, and I have a lot of interests, in terms of it's not necessarily political or social issues, but normally it is, because I always find that looking at people who are under or caught in a political situation or a social situation, or even a family situation, when there's a conflict, it makes it interesting. And I don't come and say that I have the solution for everything, but at least I can propose some ideas on what you can do as an individual and as a society. So I think I want to keep exploring that, because as I get older, I'm running out of time. So, I have a lot of stories to tell, but I think they're more or less in the same region.
Okay, but what is the message you want to tell people with this film? Or what's the feeling you're aiming for?
I'll tell you, I think it's a cliche, but I think it's stay optimistic, because I think we tend to lose our optimism because sometimes things are so bad. And, the world today is really crazy. You think about Ukraine and Russia, you think about the Middle East, Israel, the Palestinians, the Iranians. It's a really crazy world. It's a very difficult world. And I think it's easy to kind of sink into kind of pessimism and, nothing's going to happen. It's the end of the world kind of thing. Yeah. But I think not. I think humans went through so many big crises throughout history and survived. So I think that's the point. We have to survive, and we have to keep finding ways to make our life better. It means staying optimistic, because if you're not optimistic, then what's the point? Then,
Yeah, then it's like, it's not worth living,
Goodbye.
Yeah. Okay, but thank you. We've uncovered so many details about this story and about this film. So huge thanks to you for coming here, and it was really nice to meet you.
Same here.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning into PÖFF TV. I hope I will see you here again. So catch you later. Bye.